One.
I found someone.
Yeah, this is sick, man.
Ooh.
Who?
Someone
Who?
Someone who?
Circle?
Answer.
I know what I'm asking.
No.
Bro, I trust her, honestly.
We need
But yeah, Mon Mothma's a beast, man.
Don't lecture me on vulnerability. No one's more at risk than I am.
Yeah, honestly, that's true. Like, she's the one giving it
Yeah.
the most.
I'd be the first.
Yeah,
one
for
to
real. That would be bad.
Boom, you looking for this?
Welcome back to BoomShot. I'm Kale, this is
Yes,
Colby,
sir.
and we have just finished watching Andor Episode 4. And one of the main things that come out of this is that there's another rebel leader joining Mon Mothma
mystery.
and Luthen. So we have a couple theories of who this might be, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. All right, numero uno, number one. Who's your prime suspect? Who's joining the rebellion?
I think it's got to be Galen Erso, dude.
I'm actually, okay, so that is a very interesting theory. Okay, the show takes place 5 years before Rogue One, all right? So by this time, he could have successfully infiltrated the Empire, Death Star plans, and really the Empire in general, and he has secret intel about him. So bringing him into the inner circle, knowing he's trustworthy, would be huge for the rebellion.
And I would love that. I mean, I think so. He got abducted by Krennic 8 years before this show.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's plenty of time. And maybe he's just now getting in contact with Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
And she would be the easiest person for him to contact, considering she's a senator.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think, and it would give a clear tie to Rogue One.
Yeah.
And Star Wars in general, the broader universe, which many people have wanted.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of the most interesting things to come out of Rogue One was like, where did Galen Erso come from? Like, he kind of came out of nowhere. He was this like super smart, like mathematician guy who was designing the Death Star, but he like came out of nowhere. So maybe, yeah, like you said, this would be a way to kind of weave him into the story a little bit earlier, so that way we kind of understand what happened.
And that would be huge. I mean, I think that would turn the tide as far as like people liking the show in general.
Yeah.
Seeing his backstory, maybe we get one episode of him connecting with Mon Mothma, like a little side story.
Yeah.
That would be sick, man.
The only thing I'll worry about is with this theory, and I'll say the one drawback, is that in Rogue One, the Rebel Alliance was trying to assassinate him. So it could be, which they were scared that he would divulge the information that he had, so like that he had gotten in too deep and couldn't get out of the Empire, and so that he would end up letting them know that he put something in there. So that's the only thing I worry about with that theory. But I'm sure there's a workaround for it. But it honestly is the most interesting of the three that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could explain that fairly easily. I mean, and plus this is 5 years before, and we get to see him join. Maybe we get to see like the inner workings of what he's doing in the Death Star. I mean, that'd be sick, dude.
That would be sick. And we're only on the fourth episode out of 12, and we're already about to finish the first arc by episode 5, maybe episode 6. So
yeah,
we'll get another 6 episode arc. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. Second theory, who else are you guessing?
I mean, that was my main theory. What you think?
Okay, so I'm thinking Commander Sato from Star Wars Rebels. All right, so this show takes place right alongside Rebels, kind of. I don't know if it's like contemporary or if it like precedes Rebels a little bit, like its events.
Yeah, it's hard
Rebels.
to tell. They're both 5 BBY.
Yeah, it would seem that it precedes Rebels a little bit. And Commander Sato really didn't join Rebels to season 2, right? He started in season 2, so that would give us a kind of like a couple years to get him implemented. But he was he was the leader of the Phoenix Squadron, which was one of the most well coordinated squadrons in the Rebel Alliance. So seeing him on the inner circle, we'd understand like why he would be a part of it, because he's a great commander.
And it would be sick. I mean, we've seen Star Wars do this recently, bringing people from the animated shows into live action.
Yeah, that would be dope. I think that's another good theory. The last theory is General Dodonna. All right, so a lot of you probably may not know who he is by name, but he actually led the attack on the Battle of Yavin, and he served directly under Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I mean that I feel like that's a pretty strong tie there. I mean, I could really see that happen.
Yeah, like in terms of the one that is most likely to be, it's probably General Dodonna, because he served under Mon Mothma. He served in the Galactic Republic, so he's got military experience. He's probably got inner knowledge of the Empire to some extent, obviously. So that's probably the most obvious, I guess I would say. But the most interesting one is definitely Galen Erso.
That would be sick, man. Yeah, I think with Dodonna too. I think if they did a little side arc with him, then people would look back at the movies and be like, "Yo, that's sick. This was the guy in Andor."
Yeah, exactly. No, that would be dope. See, there's a lot of things I think they could do And maybe we just don't know who it is at all. But I don't think they kind of drop. I don't think they drop that right in front of our faces and be like, "Yeah, we're not going to tell you."
Yeah, I think it was deliberate.
Yeah. So going into the structure of the rest of the season, what do you think is going to happen? So we're 4 episodes in. We've kind of gotten Andor out of his funk and Ferrix or whatever. So now he's joined this group of rebels on Aldhani. They're about to infiltrate this Imperial storehouse or whatever and steal payroll.
Dude, I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, I can't wait for next week either. Like, we're getting to see how the rebellion finally got all their money. Like, I think that's so cool.
I mean, I've thought it before. Like, how are they funding all this? They get starships out the wazoo, guns, everything.
Yeah, exactly. And how does a small group of rebels beat the biggest empire in the galaxy? Like, we're getting to see that. So, and I think it adds a little bit of context, like what the Phantom Menace did for the Clone Wars, like adding the context with Naboo and everything. I think this is doing the same thing for the Galactic Civil War. Like, I'm more interested in the outcome of the Civil War now because I see how it started. So,
yeah.
I think that's for me personally. So we see that happening. After that arc is complete, what do you think happens? Andor obviously joins the rebellion.
Yeah, I think, like we said with the first 3 episodes, our biggest question was like, what's going to happen with the sister? I think that's going to be a little side arc. Maybe she joins the rebellion.
Yeah.
I think maybe she might die at the end.
Ooh.
There's another rogue theory.
That is a rogue theory.
I think that might kind of set him off.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, where he just goes on like a rampage. That'd be sick. Which I'm thinking of stuff that we've seen in the trailer. Obviously, we get some more shots of the Senate and Coruscant. We've got another villain introduced though. So we got the Imperial lady. I can't remember her name. Lieutenant something.
Yeah, she's a pretty good villain so far. I mean, she's definitely posing a large threat.
Yeah, exactly. So she has like this inner knowledge or something like that the rebellion is forming, which I thought was genius. But see, it's kind of funny because they didn't listen to her, and now this is how the rebellion starts.
Dude, Star Wars What If that guy had listened to her, she could have like snuffed out the rebellion right there.
Bro, she'd have been serving
like 7 people
under,
at the
like
time.
Tarkin and stuff like that. But yeah, that's insane to think about. What if that guy did listen to her? I think his name was like, I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, it was just 7 people. I mean, they could have snuffed the rebellion.
Dude, exactly. So I'm thinking, I don't know what to think. What's gonna happen?
I'm just really excited for next episode. They got the meteor curtain wall or whatever. I think that's gonna. I mean, the show has been beautiful. Really, I wasn't expecting the cinematic shots that it's had.
Oh, for sure.
But I think with that, I think that's gonna be beautiful in the next episode. And then in general, having like the little espionage thing, having to steal the money and that's gonna be sick, man.
Dude, I think that's so awesome. Like, it's just that's such a different take for Star Wars, and I think this leads us into our final segment of this episode, in defense of Andor, because as you can probably see from the media, actually from general critics, it's actually been getting pretty good reviews. Like, a lot of people are saying it's a refreshing take on Star Wars. But from like die-hard Star Wars fan, like your Star Wars theories, your den of nerds, they're not liking it. So I think me and Colby are going to offer a defense of Andor.
Yeah, we're kind of, it seems like in terms of YouTubers, in the minority here.
Yeah. I think it's, okay, so it's a different tone for Star Wars, but it doesn't feel like it's not Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still feels like Star Wars, but it's just a different tone.
Yeah, I think what I love about it is, I mean, and we've always loved the Clone Wars more than the Rebellion, but to me, this feels like more of a true grassroots rebellion. When we pick up on the Rebellion, it's already in full swing.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just kind of own the Empire, which you love to see. But I think this is going to be so cool to see, really coming up from literally 7 people.
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly what's most interesting to me, because obviously you see how they got the money to purchase all their ships and stuff like that. But even more than that, you're getting to see the development of the tightest group of leaders that the rebellion had before the Luke Skywalkers, before the General Organas, before like all of that. Like, you thought, if you watched episode 4 and didn't watch anything in between, you'd think that Leia started the rebellion, but that's not how it worked. Like, it had been.
I mean, she was a child, really.
Yeah,
when
really.
It started getting underway.
Exactly. Like, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, potentially Galen Erso did the heavy lifting, dude. So like, we get to see that now. And I think, like, for me, back to like the tone of it, it's like looking at the same picture in black and white versus in other shades, like a blue shade, a green shade. And like, it's still the same picture. It's just a different tone. Like, it's still Star Wars. It's just a different way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way. I think we need that from Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this show in general is going to do so much for Andor's Cassian's character.
Yeah, really.
I think when this show is over, I hope they get a season 2. Personally,
I do too.
Kind of early to say. Some might suggest, but I hope they do. I think it's going to do wonders for his character because I think people are going to watch this show. I mean, we got 8 more weeks of this show.
It'll run all the way through November, end of November, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm hyped for that. But I think by the time this show's over, and then we go back and watch Rogue One, and then the way he dies is just going to be so beautiful.
Exactly. Like, everybody loved Cassian in Rogue One, and they were sad that he died. They're like, oh, you could have done so much with this character. Well, guess what? They're doing stuff with this character, and people aren't happy with it.
I think, that was already a beautiful scene in Rogue One. I mean, he gave his life for the rebellion, and I think this is just going to make it so much more meaningful.
Yeah, a rebellion that he started.
Yeah, dude, that is true.
Really, a rebellion that he was a part of starting. Like, that's so exciting to me. It's just a different take on Star Wars, and I think that's needed. After shows like Obi-Wan or Kenobi and even Book of Boba Fett, like it's kind of, we need a different take, like a different way to look at Star Wars.
I mean, it's a ragtag group. I mean, a lot of times you get the Jedi, you get the Mandos that kind of pummel people.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna have to rely on espionage, stealth, and get in there, steal the money, and get out. And then, boom, you have all this stuff you can now work with.
Exactly. That's what it's like. I think we like it. I think it's like Civilization 6. You start out small, man.
One city.
Yeah, you start out with one city, but gradually you accumulate more wealth. You accumulate more settlers, bro. You're distributing your empire across the nations. So I'm definitely looking forward to Andor. Actually, I have to say this is probably the most excited I've been for a Disney Plus show in a while. So
yeah, I would agree. Maybe even since
Loki for me. After seeing the original trailer, I was like, dang, this looks good. I'm still excited for Bad Batch season 2 as well. But I just know that like even our friends aren't, or like even like our close friends aren't fans of the show, but we are. Like it's really weird.
I love it.
I love it too, dude. I think we just kind of like the dark, gritty feeling after watching Daredevil. So.
Yes.
It's just, but I guess people say like nothing's happened so far. I feel like that's kind of what people are thinking.
But I mean, to me, it has because I just really appreciate the world building and what they're doing with the rebellion here.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important. Like this is something we've never seen before. Like if there can't be explosions and blaster fire and. I
mean, this is a true rebellion. You're starting with literally a handful of people.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've reiterated that point, but I think that's so important to reiterate is because that's exactly what's happening. But that's our thoughts on Andor. Let us know what you guys think. Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Chances are you're probably on the not a fan side, but let us know, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.